much, Adrian. I mean, thank you so much. I think this closes off this opening session. I think just to explain that the way the sessions are structured, where we really wanted to look first into how policies are developed in both in the European Union and in Korea, and in that, of course, research activities and stimulating innovation in smart cities and IoT is a very important component. So that's the second session we'll have. And then we go really to the technology side and the standard side, which both Adrian and Casey have already presented the importance of. And then we will have, after a very short break, a really long session dedicated to showing some use cases, because I think this is really, really essential. Use cases from across the European Union, from Korea, and in many areas where we cooperate together. And then we will round off. We want to have an interactive discussion today, so we will round off with a panel discussion, which will be moderated by Stefan from our delegation in Japan, but also working on our relations with Korea. So without further ado, I'm going to have to be really tough, because the program tough on the time management. So please, all of you, stick to the time which is allotted, because we will have a very, very full program. So without further ado, let's go into the first session, which is really about the policy initiatives, about the vision. And on the European side, my colleague Olavi LUOTONEN will be presenting the European policy. Olavi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tony. And let me share my screen with you. So thank you very much for this valued opportunity to exchange views again, and to present to you the where we are now in the Technologies for Smart Communities unit, which is leading this work on the DG Connect side of the European Commission. And leading from here, I will especially look into our way of working with the Living in EU movement, the European way of digital transformation and in cities and communities, and into local digital twins. I'm doing this work especially with my colleague Javier Orozco-Messana, who is on this webinar as well today. So first, on the Living in EU declaration and movement. This movement started with the opening of the signing of the declaration in Oulu, Finland, during the Finnish EU presidency in December 2019. And this declaration is centered on really finding the common European way of working on digital transformation in cities and communities. However, now that we talk about the European way, we obviously, as has been stated before, global cooperation is key and essential to global success. And therefore, it is also possible for our international partners, including, of course, Korean partners, to sign the declaration as what we call supporters of the Living in EU movement. So if some of you want to go to the website living-in.eu, you will find an opportunity there as an organization to sign as well, and therefore join our work. Now, just to say that this work is divided into financial, technical, legal, education and capacity building, and monitoring and measuring, and there are specific subgroups for each of these areas. You will also find on the website some of that work. This event, which was held recently, is an example of this collaboration with our supporters as well. So on the website, you will find more information on this event and on other aspects of the Living in EU movement. And you will find there as well upcoming events. We will have, for example, in Portugal, on the second week of May, a conference called European Regions for Smart Communities, where also our Commissioner Breton, will present. And so some of you may wish to tune into some of those sessions as well, but you will find the links and the more exact information on the Living in EU website. As we are now dealing with standardization in this area, let me just say that we have put together this tentative slide on some of the key groups working in this. And of course, well, ETSI has been mentioned already. ETSI, especially on the area of the context information management, has been really foundational for our work in the Living in EU technical area. Actually, that ETSI specification is really the basis and the foundation of what we call the minimal interoperability mechanism #1, or MIM1. So thank you very much for the good cooperation since a number of years with ETSI in this specific work and others related. Now, while we are here in the cooperation meeting with Korea, I would like to especially point out also the ITUT Study Group 20 on IoT and smart cities and communities, as we now have Dr. Yoon Kim as the chair of the ITUT Study Group 20 in this global work, where definitely we will be working more and more closely. Our community has already met the new chair, and we will definitely be working closely on these topics. And we have, for example, recently founded a European task group on this area, where we are hoping very much to link to the work on the ITUT Study Group 20, which then again is collaborating with the other key working groups to really get good coordination on the global work in this area. So now I cannot move the slides. Let me see. I think I have to stop sharing and then come back. Sorry for that. Sometimes happens. Okay, let's see here. Okay, now I think I'm back in control. So we have recently the recent EU strategy on standardization proposal there. From there, since we are talking specifically about local digital twins as a key concept, I would just like to, without going more into that, I would just like to point out that the digital twins have been pointed out as a especially important area where we want on the European scene as well to get good coordination in European-wise as well as globally. So this is the new task group, which is under the European Sector Forum on Smart and Sustainable Cities and Communities, which has just been founded in February now, with co-chaired by Martin Brunskov, who is the chair of our Living in EU technical subgroup, and as well as the Global Open and Agile Smart Cities Network. and then Holger Robrecht, who's the chair of the European CEN Technical Committee 465, and also the Deputy Regional Director for Europe at ICLE. So we are just in the process of the kickoff meeting preparation for this new task group. And we definitely see this new task group also as a way to establish common European connections to the ITUT Study Group 20 and others. So with regard to the local digital twins, we see them as one way to look at as a central point, because the other work on the smart cities and communities, including the European ICT rolling plan, in a way it all comes together at the local digital twins, which then connect building information management, industrial digital twins, the IoT side, where I was previously in the IoT unit as well, the big data, AI, and then the sectoral standards on the various important standards sectors such as energy, mobility, and others. And we all see these as really coming together in the smart cities and local digital twins work. So we are, of course, very dependent on good interoperability, seamless interoperability on data level, on the platforms level, and on the different digital twin components. So this is one way to look at the overall reference architecture, starting with the infrastructure, going through the data, and then, you know, in the interoperability, want to especially point out the minimal interoperability mechanisms. The central document on the European level is called the MIMS Plus, and there is just a MIMS Plus version 5 being finalized and expected to come out during the summer, replacing then the MIMS Plus version 4, which came out last summer. And then, of course, on this basis, the actual solutions are then coming together in the local digital twins, serving all these important policy areas. This is another way to look at this architecture and placing the different minimal interoperability mechanisms into the picture. I already mentioned the MIM number 1, which is based on the ETSI work, and then there are the MIM 2 on the common data models and others. So as you can see, they are really critical for the coming together of the different key interoperability points. Now the most active work has been lately in MIM number 4 on personal data management, as well as MIM number 5 on fair and transparent artificial intelligence, fair AI. Then this is also coming together in the European Interoperability Framework for Smart Cities and Communities, EIF for SCC, which is looking at the technical, semantic, organizational, legal, and cultural interoperability. Now, what I have talked so far about has been, of course, on the technical and semantic interoperability mainly, which then form the basis for these other layers of interoperability. So this is coming together in the Interoperable Europe work, which then consists of many parts. Finally, I'd like to point out some of the Digital Europe program work. Now, this is part of a larger program. Of course, these are only the parts which are directly in our unit's management. but which are definitely central to the work which I've been describing. And we are just in the process of evaluating 3 different coordination and support actions which will be very central to this work. There is a 4-year Living in EU coordination and support action foreseen to start in the coming autumn. And there is another one on the new European Bauhaus. And there is a 3rd very important one, which will be building the blueprint for the European work on the local data platforms, specifically the data platform on smart communities, which is of course central to what we are talking about now. So with this I finish, and I welcome you to join as supporters of the Living in EU movement as well, and I really look forward to the continued excellent collaboration and cooperation globally, and especially with like-minded countries like Korea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olavi, for this very thrilling presentation, really, and for this invitation to our Korean friends to come and join this initiative. So please come and join Live in Europe. Without further ado, and also thank you very much to sticking to the time slot which was allotted. So let's go to the colleague from Korea, Dr. Park, who's the Program Director for a National Strategic Smart Program at the Korea Agency for Infrastructure Technology Advancement, also called KAIA. Dr. Park, the floor is yours.
You hear me? Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to meet you. I'm Gina Park, Program Director from National Strategic Smart City Program for Korea Agency for Infrastructure Technology Advancement. And so I hope I will not be disturbing your day. Today, I'm going to share with you how smart city design, system design and care help you to build your own data-driven smart city. City is a system of systems. It's about transportation, it's about energy, it's about environment. It's about well-being of a citizen that is based on the experience that they have in these multiple domain and areas. Let's say interaction with the city in different domain and areas. I'd like to share with you smart and sustainable city solution from Korea. Whether you're interested in mobility, digitalization, and social sustainability, urban planning, and all of it, we can offer you a tour that can make your city even smarter and more sustainable. In 2030, 100% of Korea's transports should be fossil-free. This goal will be met by the shifting from fossil fuels to biofuels such as biogas, bioethanol, and biodiesel, but also electricity and hydrogen cities. Transportation is in our city has changed in many ways. Public transportation has been electrified and also run on renewable fuels to almost 100%. One example, and it's now electrified, it's now hydrogenified. So Korea has a big focus on the digital innovation, and digitalization is the foundation of the smart and well-being city. The focus is on the collaboration with the stakeholders that is need to transform the society system of tomorrow. Digitalization, automation, sharing of different city solutions are very important components in this. Our vision is a sustainable, accessible, and smart city system for sustainable society for all. Many were most threw in was a ridiculous idea, but we are getting closer, and with new technology and just around the corner, we actually can get there. Let's move on to the Seoul, which is a global leading example within smart city and social inclusion in cities. The work with the citizenry is visible in the city in many different ways. As smart city district is unique in itself, the smart city model includes focus on the social and ecological sustainability. The result is a vibrant district center and its residents. The vision for this smart city district has been green and dense and mixed. And all that is possible thanks to the smart infrastructure. So a circular economy is sustainable production and the consumer model which offer a way to fight global climate change and reduce carbon emission. To create a circular system, collaboration between different sectors and society is key. In southeastern Korea, between companies, municipality, and academia has led to innovative solutions. The time when waste was a considered problem is over. We see as a result. For example, we do it in climate positive way by using the heat from the smart facilities, push it straight down to the combined and heat and power plants. It's smart, it's circular, it's innovative. So smart city system, a smart city system helps the city preceding and then analyzing and in managing and then integrating those multiple sources in optimal way, in order to make sure that their citizens, are living smart. Let's say the most smart city in the world, and that's the exciting thing about living in a smart city. The goal of the smart city system is to foster innovation and data science. This will be achieved by data ecosystem, where data is made available, collected, and exchanged in a trustworthy and secured environment. So, and also participants can come from the same or different industry that can operate to create the wider ecosystem. As usual, city has already got ample amount of historical data or real-time data, and given the fact that many cities have already done a lot of smart city pilot projects, it is really more important than ever to start to getting values from this data to driven smarter city development. So this is Korean smart data strategy in simple terms. So what Korean smart city data strategy try to build a single data market exactly like any market in Europe. Now this data strategy stands on these 4 pillars. So creating data flow architecture and cross Korea to create the so-called data, smart city data cross-sector doing this, assessing high quality data, and the only way to build this service and smart service is getting access to the quality data and meaningful data and standard data. Also, we want to have a common rule to use and calculate the data. And of course, we want these rules to be with the rules and the principle, the value of the Korean Smart City Alliance. So, but the challenge to get the value from data is that most of the data remains in their own data silos. Each silo project can operate well in detached or presenting their own packs, but it is not easy to get all these data together to find the interrelationship between them for a better city behavior understanding. Two issues, the data lake has become the main trend to bring silo data together in order to aggregate them to one single repository. Once all these data aggregate together to find the relations between them for a better city finding on better city behavior understanding. To address this issue, data lake has become the main trend, bringing silos data together in order to aggregate them into one single repository. Once all these data are aggregated together, data can then be truly connected for data analysis purpose, which enable parent discovery to find the insight, knowledge, understanding about the current operating status of the city. But just understanding is not enough to transform city. We need AI or machine learning technology to find the customer counterintuitive insight, which we usually call wisdom, in order to find the most appropriate approach to the transform the cities in their unique way to realize their ultimate smart city outcomes. City transforms have to go through multiple integration of innovation activities, which we typically call the networking. Smart city system architecture for smart cities. Smart cities usually start with a pilot project. So good. Provide the benefits, readiness, depth of service to experiment and run all these solutions agile, effectively, and scale if the solution provided to useful and predictable for the city. The main outcome of these pilot projects to fall down a pillar like smart governance and smart mobility, smart people, smart healthcare, smart government, smart energy and smart economy, and smart environment and living. With this pilot project, they generate new dimension of data, which SGS has the best practice handling high volume real data ingestion when a smart city solution needs to scale. And at the same time, making sure all data can be managed effectively, stored securely. Once data properly aggregated into a SCS data lake as a single repository of tools, which is very connected and integrated other systems, where smart services data analytics can then be easily applied on the consolidated data set for the data scientists, data analysts to perform the ad hoc pattern discovery. Oh, sorry. And finally, SGS AI wearable ML services can be operated to find the counterintuitive insights that help the cities to make more accurate data-driven decisions and policies in defining smart city solutions, as well as inspiring these insights for driving the city toward and even smarter directions. So in SCS, we have a smart data canvas. We call it canvas to ensure data can get through the proper journey in order to help the customer and users to achieve their ultimate outcomes. We have appropriate service and building blocks to handle the batch and real-time data ingestion and making sure the data can be stored in the data lake in the most appropriate format and data processing pipeline to ensure the batch data and the real-time data can be curated in the digestible format for subsequent consume stage by analytics and AI MLs. And finally, we have a broad spectrum of services to help deliver insight and user so that they can achieve their final outcomes. But smart city system design is dependent on different city use case, different system service can be selected into these building block in the canvas to the real smart cities. In smart city system and use case requirements to be different from one country to another, but another area to others, but they can all be implemented in SGS according to our best practice with the operational and scale whenever it's needed. Our smart city canvas can help you achieve your smart city outcomes in your own and unique ways. Here are SGS innovation successes that we would like to share with you. At the metropolitan city government in southeastern region of Korea, we're looking for the thinking city with the tactile, machinery, metal, and automotive industry has worked with the SDS program to create the data hub on traffic safety, urban facility management that enable the metropolitan city government to understand needs and improve how the city can offer better experience to their citizens. And finally, the city implemented and integrated data hub through the national strategic smart city program and use AI data analysis to help monitor cities in real time and prevent dangerous situations, which can help save lives in terms of immediate human-involved disaster and urgent event responses. I think I've been quite good stage to stay in the 15 minutes, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Park, for this very fascinating presentation, for making us also visually travel a bit, which through some of the Korean fascinating cities. A lot of accent on data and interoperability, data management. I'm sure we'll come back to that throughout the session and also in the panel discussion towards the end of today's